There is someone whose heart carries a love for you far deeper than they have ever admitted out loud. And yet, despite everything they feel, they continue choosing distance. Before your mind rushes to create explanations or painful conclusions, pause for a moment. Breathe slowly and allow yourself to become still. Because what is reaching you right now is not random timing or meaningless coincidence. There are moments in life when something greater quietly guides you toward the truth your soul has already sensed beneath all the confusion. This is one of those moments. Somewhere within your story exists a person who feels tied to you in a way they cannot logically explain. Maybe they are still present in your life. Maybe they have become distant. Maybe silence now stands where closeness once lived. But regardless of the space between you, their feelings did not disappear. In fact, the more they tried to escape the intensity of this connection, the more deeply it settled inside them. What you must understand is that silence does not always mean indifference. Sometimes silence is the loudest expression of emotional overwhelm. This person feels something powerful when it comes to you. Something beyond attraction, beyond temporary fascination, beyond anything they were emotionally prepared for. And that is exactly what frightened them. Loving you awakened parts of themselves they had spent years hiding beneath emotional walls and carefully controlled behavior. You touched areas within them that had remained asleep for a very long time. Without realizing it, you became the catalyst for a transformation they never expected to face. As Carl Jung once expressed, when two personalities truly meet, both are changed by the encounter. That is what happened here. Your presence disrupted the emotional structure they relied on to feel safe. Around you, they could no longer pretend to be unaffected, detached, or fully in control of themselves. You reflected both their deepest desires and their deepest wounds back to them at the same time. That is why this connection feels so emotionally complicated. You did not simply make them feel wanted. You made them feel seen, truly seen. And for someone who has spent years hiding parts of themselves from the world, that level of vulnerability can feel terrifying. You became a mirror, showing them not only what they longed for, but also what they feared most about love, closeness, and emotional exposure. They never expected you to matter this much. At first, perhaps you seemed temporary, manageable, or emotionally safe. But slowly, something changed inside them. Your conversations lingered in their mind longer than they should have. Your energy brought them an unfamiliar sense of peace, and your absence began affecting them in ways logic could not explain. They realized that losing you emotionally would hurt far more than they were prepared to admit. So instead of moving closer, they stepped back. Not because the feelings were weak, but because the feelings became too real. For them, loving you feels dangerous in a way they struggle to explain. It feels like standing at the edge of something life-changing without knowing whether they are emotionally capable of surviving the fall. Their distance is not always rejection. In many ways, it is fear disguised as control. Deep inside, they question whether they are healed enough, stable enough, or worthy enough to fully hold the connection you offer. They replay conversations in silence. They revisit memories you may have forgotten. They think about things left unsaid. And underneath all their emotional resistance lives a quiet belief that you deserve a version of them that does not yet exist. That belief creates guilt. It creates hesitation. It creates emotional paralysis. Part of them wants to run toward you completely. Another part fears ruining something that already feels too important to lose. This is why their behavior often feels contradictory. One moment you feel their emotional closeness, and the next moment they retreat into distance or silence. The conflict is happening inside them long before it appears externally. Their heart recognizes the connection, but their fears are still trying to protect the identity they built long before you arrived. And no matter how much time passes, you remain present within them. Temporary distractions do not erase what they feel. Other people do not replace what this connection awakened. They may attempt to focus on work, routines, responsibilities, or surface-level interactions. But underneath it all, your presence continues echoing through their inner world. Because connections that reach the soul do not disappear through avoidance alone. As Jung said, what we resist tends to persist. And the harder they try to suppress what they feel, the stronger those emotions quietly become beneath the surface. Their silence is filled with unfinished thoughts, hidden longing, and emotional tension they struggle to carry alone. Past disappointments taught them that closeness leads to pain, so now love feels both beautiful and threatening at the same time. You represent peace to them, but also the terrifying possibility of losing emotional control completely. Right now, they are attempting to convince themselves they can handle life without confronting these emotions directly. They are testing their own independence, trying to feel strong enough on their own before risking the vulnerability of standing beside someone who affects them this deeply. But during quiet nights, when distractions disappear and the world grows silent, everything they try to suppress rises back to the surface. They think about what this connection means. They think about the changes it triggered inside them. And somewhere deep down, they already understand a truth they are still afraid to fully face. You changed them, not temporarily, not superficially, permanently. And that realization carries enormous emotional weight, because they know that even one honest step toward you would alter the course of their life completely. It would require them to let go of old defenses, old fears, and old versions of themselves that no longer fit who they are becoming. So their absence is not emptiness. It is hesitation. It is emotional self-protection. It is the soul retreating inward, while trying to prepare for a transformation the heart already knows is unavoidable. Sometimes the people who love us most deeply are also the people most terrified of what that love demands from them. There is a truth they can no longer silence inside themselves. No matter how much distance they create, no matter how carefully they try to hide behind logic, distractions, or emotional walls, their heart continues returning to you. Beneath every excuse, every delay, and every moment of silence, one reality remains unchanged. You became the connection that altered something permanent within them. They may continue fighting it for now. They may still hesitate, overthink, or convince themselves they need more time before facing what they truly feel. But deep inside, they already know this bond is unlike anything they have experienced before. It is not temporary attraction or passing emotion. It is something that reached the deepest layers of who they are and awakened parts of them they can no longer ignore. The distance was never proof that love was absent. It was proof that the connection felt powerful enough to challenge everything they thought kept them safe. Loving you forced them to confront fears they spent years avoiding. Fear of vulnerability, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, fear of losing control. And when people are faced with emotions this real, they often retreat before they learn how to stay. But the soul does not forget what changed it. No matter how far they run, your presence continues living quietly inside their thoughts, their memories, and the spaces where they are finally alone with themselves. In silence, they feel the truth more clearly than ever. They realize that pushing you away never brought peace. It only created emptiness where connection once existed. This journey was never only about romance. It was about awakening, about two souls being transformed through love, distance, reflection, and growth. Whether reunion happens tomorrow, later, or in a completely unexpected moment, something sacred has already taken place between you. You both were changed by this connection in ways that cannot be undone. And if destiny truly intends your paths to meet again, it will not happen through force, chasing, or desperation. It will happen when fear loses its grip, when honesty becomes stronger than avoidance, and when both hearts are finally capable of holding the connection with maturity instead of fear. So do not lose yourself trying to force answers before their time. Trust what your spirit already feels. What is truly meant for you will never require you to abandon your worth, silence your truth, or beg for love. Real connection does not ask you to shrink, it asks you to grow. In the end, love that is real leaves an imprint that time cannot erase. And no matter how long the silence lasts, the soul always remembers the person who made it feel seen, understood, and alive in a way nothing else ever could. As their fear slowly loses control, something far more powerful is beginning to rise inside them. Truth. Not the kind of truth people speak casually, but the kind that changes a person from within. The kind that refuses to stay buried any longer. They are finally understanding that running from love never protected them. It only delayed the healing their soul has been asking for all along. For so long, they believed distance would make these feelings disappear. They thought silence would calm the intensity, that time would weaken the connection, and that staying away would help them regain control over their emotions. But the opposite happened instead. The more space they created, the more obvious your absence became. The quieter life became, the louder their heart started speaking. Now they are beginning to see something they could not understand before. You were never the danger they feared. You were the mirror, showing them where they were still wounded, where they still doubted their worth, and where they were still afraid to be truly seen. Loving you forced them to confront themselves honestly for the first time in years. And while that awakening frightened them deeply, it also became impossible to ignore. They are no longer the same person who first walked away. Pain has changed them. Reflection has softened them. The silence has taught them lessons they could never have learned while hiding behind distractions or emotional distance. Every lonely night, every moment of regret, every memory that returned without warning, slowly broke down the walls they once believed would keep them safe. They are realizing that real strength was never emotional numbness. Real strength is vulnerability. It is honesty. It is having the courage to love without constantly preparing for loss. And that realization is transforming them quietly from the inside out. What once felt safer to avoid is now becoming harder to live without. They feel your absence in ordinary moments, in conversations that feel empty, in connections that lack depth, and in the quiet spaces where truth can no longer be escaped. Your presence left an imprint on their soul, and no amount of time has erased it. Instead, time has clarified it. This is why the connection continues pulling at them. Not because they are weak, but because something genuine cannot be forgotten once it reaches the deepest parts of the heart. They know now that opportunities like this are rare. A love that feels honest, grounding, and transformative does not appear often in life. And slowly, they are becoming more afraid of losing it forever than they are of facing their vulnerability. The distance is no longer teaching them how to stay away from you. It is teaching them why they cannot. Every lesson, every moment of reflection, and every painful realization is guiding them toward one unavoidable truth. Love requires courage. Not perfection, not certainty, just the willingness to stop hiding and finally choose what matters most. And when that moment fully arrives, when fear finally becomes smaller than the truth in their heart, they will stop resisting what they have always felt for you. Because deep down they already know something their soul has been whispering for a long time now. Some connections are too real to abandon, too meaningful to replace, and too deeply written into the heart to ever truly disappear. The walls they once trusted are beginning to fall apart. What used to feel like protection now feels like isolation. The silence they relied on to avoid vulnerability has become too painful to carry, and the distance they created no longer feels safe. It feels empty. Every day away from you has slowly revealed a truth they can no longer deny. Running from love never brought peace. It only delayed the inevitable moment when the heart demands honesty. They are standing at the edge of a transformation now. The version of them that once hid behind fear, pride, and emotional distance is becoming harder to maintain. Too much has changed inside them. Too many quiet nights have been spent replaying memories, revisiting unfinished conversations, and wondering how life became so colorless without your presence in it. Your absence did not erase the connection. It intensified it. Time did not weaken what they feel. It sharpened their awareness of how deeply you touch their soul. They tried to convince themselves they could move forward without facing these emotions, but every distraction eventually faded. Every attempt to bury the truth only made it return stronger. And now they are beginning to understand something profound. Some connections are not meant to be forgotten because they were never ordinary to begin with. You became the person who awakened parts of them they had hidden for years. Around you, they felt exposed in ways that frightened them, yet also deeply alive. You saw beyond the masks they wore for the world. You reached the softer, vulnerable places inside them that few people ever noticed. And while that level of intimacy terrified them at first, losing it has become even more terrifying. They are no longer fighting only against their feelings for you. They are fighting against the regret of knowing they almost lost something real because fear convinced them to run. Every moment of silence now feels heavier than speaking the truth ever would have. Every "what if" echoes louder in their mind. What if they had stayed? What if they had been honest sooner? What if fear stole the one connection that truly mattered? That realization is changing them, slowly but deeply. They are beginning to see that love was never asking them to be perfect. It was only asking them to be brave enough to stay present, honest, and emotionally open. The walls they built to survive are no longer enough to sustain them. Their soul is asking for more now. It is asking for truth, and that is why the energy between you feels different. The shift is already happening beneath the surface. The distance that once seemed permanent is beginning to crack under the weight of everything left unsaid. They are moving closer internally, even before any words are spoken aloud. Piece by piece, their fear is losing power while their heart grows stronger. Soon, the need to reconnect will become impossible for them to ignore. Not because loneliness drove them back, but because clarity finally did. They are realizing that genuine love is rare, and losing it creates a pain far greater than vulnerability ever could. When they finally return, it will not be with confusion or half-hearted emotion. It will come after deep reflection, after painful growth, and after the understanding that real connection cannot survive inside silence forever. They will come back carrying the truth they once feared to say aloud, that no amount of distance ever stopped loving you, and no amount of time ever made your place in their heart disappear. In the end, this story was never only about separation, silence, or the pain of longing for someone who could not fully stay. It was always about transformation. It was about two souls being pushed into growth through a connection powerful enough to shake every illusion they once used to protect themselves. What began as distance slowly became awakening. What first looked like rejection slowly revealed itself as fear, inner conflict, and the difficult process of learning how to love without hiding.